Are you interested in holistic health and all the components that make it up and how all of these components fit together? Stay tuned because I'm going to talk all about this. All right, so what is holistic health? If you are new to this channel or new to holistic health, then you might be wondering what makes up holistic health, what the components are, and how they fit together. So let's talk about how it all fits together. And as you can see in this diagram, I kind of made it look a visual representation of what I think it is. Now, this is just my interpretation because holistic health is one of those things that it's kind of up to your interpretation most of the time. I mean, each of these words, soul, spirit, mind, and body, they all have a lot of different varied definitions. And depending on who you ask, they all fit together differently. So keep that in mind when watching this video, that this is just my perspective, and you can take it and run with it, or take it and tweak it to how you want, or take it along with what other people say and kind of try to form your own picture. But this is just my interpretation of what holistic health means and how it all fits together. So, as you can see, the very, very middle in the green is the body. And the reason why I have that as the smallest circle in the middle of the others is because this is how I believe that we are not a body as far as our true essence. Our body is just a vehicle for our consciousness. Our body is temporary. And so this is why I put the body there, because the body is the smallest of the three, the one that's probably the, it's going to sound weird, but I think it's the least important because, well, I shouldn't say it that way. It's on a soul level, if you're looking from a like an eagle eye view, the body is it's transient. So I mean, it's not, you can't really rely on it as being a permanent thing, obviously. And so, um, just like anything else in life that comes and goes, if it's not permanent, it's not a solid fixture in that foundation. So, I mean, it is for the time being. Obviously, being in a body really, really feels like this is all we are and this is all we remember, unless you have a memory of a past life, or if you heavily believe in those types of subjects where we reincarnate and we are, obviously, if you're watching this video, you have some sort of a belief in the soul. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But as far as the body's concerned, that's what we are focused on a three-dimensional level, on a physical level. And we need to take care of the body because this is how we get around in the world. And without our health, we really don't have much, because if you lose your health, you can't explore, you can't enjoy the world, and your mind won't work as good, your spirit will be crushed, and that's just, that's why we need to take care of the body. That's why the body is important. So, the next circle up is the mind, and that encompasses the body, because I believe that the mind is over the body as far as what controls what, although the body can control the mind, of course. Like I just said, if the body fails, the mind will probably fail, but it's not necessarily the case, because sometimes it's mind over matter. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, because if you're in a bad situation in your life, how can you get your mind to overcome that situation? And the fact that we're living in this three-dimensional world on this planet, that does make it hard, because our senses are tied to the body, and that is how we experience everything. So it's hard to get the mind to change. It's hard to get the mind to control the body. It's hard to get the mind to affect the body. So But the mind is above the body, I believe, and that is why the phrase mind over matter is important. So your mind is kind of like a middleman between the body and the spirit or the soul. And that's how I kind of look at it, as a hierarchy of the body and then the mind, and then above that is everything else. So, and then we will move into the next circle, which is spirit. And the reason why I put spirit where it is because I believe that the spirit is more of an energy, not a thing. Um, so the spirit to me is pretty much like the fire that sparks and fuels you. Um, I think that the difference between soul and spirit is this. I believe that the soul is a thing, and that is what we were originally. That's what our true essence is. And some will argue that we are just a mind, and a mind and the soul are the same thing. And there is a differentiation there. Um, the mind is our consciousness, which can be our soul as well. But the mind also includes things that are in our brain, specifically our physical brain. So, like our emotions and feelings, those are more tied to the body. But when some people say that we are just one big mind, that the whole universe is just God's mind, that, I mean, that could be true. There's no way to prove that, but I mean, there's a lot of people that believe that, and part of me believes that too. But in that case, the word mind would be more of a consciousness, and that ties in with the soul. Because I believe the difference between soul and spirit is the soul is your conscious being, and the spirit is, um, oh, there's so many ways that I could word this. I don't even know where to begin because I could probably talk about spirit for a while. Um, I think spirit is, like I said, I think it's the energy. It's what breathes life into our soul. So I mean, you can have a soul, but it unless you have spirit within that soul, unless you have passion and fire and a will and intense energy to the will to live, that I think that is how I interpret spirit. And of course, when you think of the word spirituality, that to me means so many things. And like spirituality can mean your connection to the universe, your connection to your higher self, which I believe is your soul. And it could also mean a connection to nature, because we're in this world, we are on the earth in our bodies, and spirituality has to go everywhere. It has to be on the planet, it has to be in our minds, it has to be in our souls. So I think spirit, in a way, spirit could encompass everything if you look at it that way. So, also when you think of spirituality, you think of, like, usually people say I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, which means that they don't follow a religion. And a religion, really, I think a religion is just a man-made thing. So I don't put religion into this little diagram at all. I kind of want to completely separate that. Um, when I think of spirituality, I think of just how a person integrates their soul into the world. It's basically how you get to know yourself and what the universe is and everything. It's a very holistic thing to be spiritual, I think. It almost has to be, because spirituality uh, it needs to encompass all of these things. A lot of people say that spirituality is like when they say you're having a spiritual awakening, it means that you're coming into the awareness of who you are and the meaning of yourself, the meaning of the world. And it's basically looking at everything from a really big picture. And it's also not just love and light and positivity, although those things are important, but we need balance. And spirituality also means, when it comes to learning yourself, learning all parts of yourself, and that includes the shadow. And that's why shadow work is so important in spirituality. And that is why when you are having a spiritual awakening, you have to confront those shadow parts of yourself, because that's how you really learn who you are, and that's how you heal, and that's how you evolve, that's how you grow. So, yeah, when it comes to spirituality, I really think that that's a broad term that could be talked about for a long time. I just wanted to tie together how all of these aspects of holistic health work. And like I said, this is just my interpretation. So I am interested in what your thoughts are because there are probably as many different perspectives on this as there are people. And well, maybe not. Maybe that is kind of an exaggeration because this is really I mean, holistic health is a subject, it's a topic that revolves around being whole. And the things that make us whole are the body, the mind, and the spirit, and the soul. So these are I can't think of anything else that would be included in this because everything that involves our senses is the body. Everything that involves the mind is our emotions and feelings and thoughts. Everything that involves spirit is passion and fire and energy and the will to create. It's what makes us alive. And then your soul is really what we are at our essence before we came into bodies and after we leave bodies. And that's where I can't really prove that. That's just what I believe, and a lot of people have different perspectives on that, of course. And so I am interested in hearing what you think about this diagram, if you believe that this is the correct order, and what you would say is the definition of all of these words. I mean, obviously the body and the mind are pretty easy, because we are three-dimensional beings in the moment right now, so we know this part the best. We don't really know with 100% certainty everything about spirit and soul. There's a lot of people that claim they do because they might have had a near-death experience. Um, but I mean, I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to that. I've never had a near-death experience, but I do believe that there's something to it. I just wish that well, like everybody does, I wish we could know for sure because it would sure be helpful, right? It would sure be helpful when it comes to being a human if we knew how everything else worked. But maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that's the whole point of life is to not know so that we can focus on our humanity. And maybe that was a choice that we made before we came here. Maybe it's not a choice and maybe we're all forced to come here. How do we know? So there's so many different perspectives that you could look at this. I just think it's very interesting because I've always been interested in holistic health and I really love, exploring these subjects and opening my mind to what they could possibly mean. So I would love to hear down in the comments below what you believe about this, if you agree with me about this, what you think these words mean, if you could have an order of how these go, what order would you put them in? So if you liked this information and you want to go deeper into what holistic health is, I actually have a free lesson available in this video that you see here. Just click on that, and in that video there will be a free lesson from my first lesson from my course, which is called Holistic Lifestyle Basics. And that is the lesson that goes deep into what holistic health means and why it is important. So be sure to click that if you want to learn more, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.